Welcome, everyone. Take it away, Leah.
Hi, welcome to our last text and context of the season. Thank you for joining us, Roberta. I'm so glad that you logged in again. I saw that you logged in earlier and there was some confusion, and I apologize, and I'm glad that you all got here. And hopefully we'll have a few more people, but if not, we know we always have a good time even when there's a few of us, and it gives us more opportunity to talk. So Kol Nashim is singing several songs this year of biblical women. And I was thinking, you know, we have a lot of biblical women who travel for one reason or another. And so the two that we're going to look at today are Miriam and Ruth, because we are singing a piece by HIghben called "And Miriam Sang," and another called "Song of Ruth." And so the first thing I wanted us to spend a little bit of time discussing is the similarities and the differences between these two journeys and these two women. So, of course, you know, the similarities are pretty straightforward. They're both in the Bible. They're named women in the Bible. We don't have a whole lot of them. And they set out on a journey, right? And Miriam, hang on, I forgot to close my door, so we don't hear the guys from downstairs and they don't hear me. You know, Miriam is halachically the source of the water in the desert. It's by her zchut that the Israelites have water in the desert. She brings the magic traveling well. And Ruth, of course, becomes the matriarch of the house of David, which is then the monarchy. So that's pretty straightforward. But some thoughts, and it's not fair because I've been thinking about this for a while. So some thoughts on how they are different and how their journeys are different. And anybody who would like to throw something out, you know, unmute yourself. Anne, I knew I could depend on you.
Miriam is a natural leader, and she leads the women in song. Ruth isn't. Ruth is much more... She wants to, I think she thinks of Naomi, her mother-in-law, as a mother figure, and a lot of this is trying to please her mother.
Well, but by definition, I didn't have this on my list, but Miriam is a leader and Ruth is a follower.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, but she's an independent follower. I mean, she's a follower, but she's still standing up for her own wishes. You know, many people are followers and say, yes, Mom, whatever you tell me to go back, I'll go back. Naomi didn't tell her. Naomi told her to go back, and she said, no, I'm staying with you.
Well, so let me add a leading question. Why did they set out on their journeys?
Well, Miriam was Moses' sister, and they were leaving Egypt. They were leaving slavery.
Right. It's a part of a big exodus, right? The whole book is
the whole book,
right?
And Naomi and Ruth, Naomi had gone to Moab with her husband and her sons, and they all died except for her, and she was going back to her own people, and she had two daughters-in-law who were Moabites. They were not Jews. And one of them, she said to them, don't go back with me. You know, you have lives, you have families, go to your families. And one says, no.
Hang on, I want to grab on one word, which you said at least twice, going back, right? So Naomi is going back. Ruth follows her in going back, whereas the Exodus is not about going forward. The Exodus is about running away. Later in the journey, it becomes about going to. Right? But at the point of Yetziat Mitzrayim, which we just celebrated, and at the point after crossing the Red Sea, which is where "And Miriam Sang" is set, they're running away from.
Right.
They're not going to. Right?
Not yet.
Whereas Ruth and Naomi and Ruth by proxy are going towards. Right? The goal is not that they're leaving Moab. The goal is that they are going home. Other things, other differences. So we had the follower and the leader. We had the leaving and going towards. Anne, you had your hand up a little while ago.
Ruth. I'm not sure it's exactly her mission in life, but she becomes a mother, and Miriam doesn't.
Do we know that?
We don't know that
I'm
for a
just, I was
fact.
gonna ask you, we know that.
I don't think we know that.
Okay.
Which brings me to another thing, because Miriam, as important as she is, a lot of the things that we know and tell about her are through Midrash. They are not told about in the Bible. Whereas Ruth has her own scroll with her name. Go ahead.
And her own words. We know how she feels.
We know her words. Exactly. You know, the words, and even the words in the song, and Miriam sang, we just get a little bit of, you just get some words, very short. They're from, they're Shira L'Adonai, Shiru LaHashem, Shiru L'Adonai, right? And Sus v'rochvo Rama Bayam, which is a quote, which is this, the horses, the horses were drowned, the horses and the riders were drowned in the ocean. We
So
have
she
no,
echoes.
And
She echoes. Her
That's a-
words are the same as
it's
Moses.
not a quote. It's not a quote. We don't, nowhere does it say, it says that Miriam and the women.
Miriam. I think that's what her said.
Yeah.
I'm going to find that.
Find it.
Okay, I was going to do the same.
Okay, and
but
so
it's the same thing. Words that was in Shira Hayam that she's.
but even the words are, it's very limited. It's a small piece of a very big story.
Well,
we have how many, I don't even know how many times it says Vayomer Moshe, and Moses said.
Yeah, and we don't have Miriam said. We also have the incident where she gets whatever tzara, leprosy, or whatever,
right.
And that she apparently had said something negative about Moses's wife, and
right.
and
But we don't have a lot of, here comes Anne, and she'll while you're setting that up. Oh, I have somebody else coming in. I'm going to take this point to share my screen, since we're focusing on text and context. Hi, Juanita, welcome. I don't know if she can hear me yet. Hi, Juanita, welcome. So I'm going to share and Miriam Sang. And what I want you to notice, first of all, I found two absolutely fantastic recordings of these two songs, which I hadn't found before. So I'm so glad to have found them. And I was so glad, to have it start playing and have the goosebumps go and go, okay, this is a good one. So, and Miriam Sang, which we have discussed in rehearsal, each part is an ostinato, meaning they have a musical idea and they repeat it over and over. There are two sections to the song, and there's two different groups of ostinati. But there are other, and this kind of creates a building of ecstasy, almost like pagan ritual. We were at the Egyptian Museum at the exhibit at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, which was fabulous. And they talked there a little bit about the worship, some of the worship ceremonies, and talked about the same kind of thing, about this dancing and singing and circling and creating ecstasy. So I'm going to play for you and Miriam Sang. Okay. Hang on. Oh, here we go. Let's cancel that and try one more time. There we go. And we're going to do Miriam, and I will mute it until the commercial is over.
Okay.
And hang on, this was about at, actually, we'll listen to her talk.
The horses of Pharaoh, with his chariot and his chariot drivers, went into the sea. The Lord brought back the waters of the sea upon them. But the Israelites walked through the sea, owing to dry ground. Then the prophet Miriam, Aaron's sister, took a tambourine in her hand, and all the women went out after her with tambourines and with dancing. And Miriam sang to them, "Sing to the Lord,
Oh, wow.
So pretty nice. I like that. Pretty good performance, right? But you can hear that there's not a lot of text, right? And there's lot and melodically things are building on top of each other. So we hear the quote. I muted everybody. Otherwise, when I play the music, we get a feedback loop. So we have, and Miriam said, right? And the song of, sorry, Anne, you were going to say the quotes.
Sorry. Yes. So Moses and the Jewish people sing, I will sing to the Lord, and then the rest is the same. But Miriam, the prophetess, Aaron's sister, takes up a timbrel in her hand, and all the women go out behind her and dance with timbrels. And Miriam, this translation says, and Miriam chanted for them, sing to the Lord. So she's addressing the women directly, for he has triumphed gloriously, horse and driver he has hurled into the sea. So
we have a sentence and a half.
Yes.
We have a sentence and a half. So we're going to move on to Ruth. And what I'd like you to think about as we talk about the Song of Ruth and listen to it and talk about the text is how the settings, once you hear Song of Ruth, how the settings are different, express these differences between these women. So in Robert Alter's wonderful translation of the Tanakh, in talking about the book of Ruth, he says, based on the writing style and the use of certain words not found in either the Chumash or the prophets, and the content, which is against the exclusion of foreign spouses, right, which Ezra and Nehemiah are very much against the marriage too far, taking foreign spouses. And so based on the fact that this is in support of accepting foreign spouses who are willing to convert, probably written about the 5th century BCE. And this is a book where, according to Alter, all of the characters are good. There's no bad guys. Some of them are less good than others, but they're all really good. And the first piece of dialogue that you hear that is assigned to a character basically defines that character. Stylistically, the prose in the book of Ruth reads almost like poetry. And it's got a balance of poetry. The quote that I copied, here's Cantor Neal. The balance, the rhythmic poise, the stately symmetries of the language are an apt manifestation of the harmonious world of the book of Ruth. The characters express a kind of moral confidence, ultimately stemming from a sense of the rightness of the traditional values of loyalty, love, and charity, and of the sustaining force of providence, even in the face of adversity. So what I'd like to do first is I'm going to share my screen with you, and here's the text for the Song of Ruth. And so I have lots of things on here, but let me shrink this window. So this is the text, and I'm going to play the song for you just so you can hear it. Move the window. There we go. Okay. Song of Ruth. Let me play this, mute this, and play this ad that will end in 6 endless seconds. And so what we're going to do, oh, now we have another ad. What we're going to do is just listen to it, reading so that you have the altar text in front of you. And then I'm going to show you the original Hebrew with the Sepharia translation. And so you can see in this version of the text, I looked at the rhymes and sounds. This version of the text is highlighted based on different phrases in the child's and the sources where I found them in the translation, because as we know, all translation is editorial. So I have the Sepharia translation, which aspires to be objective. And then I have 3 non-Jewish sources and 3 Jewish sources, and we'll see where exactly Childs took this from. I suspect that he read a bunch of different sources. I think primary among them was probably the King James. There's a lot of overlap with the King James. Sorry, chat. Oh, cool. So let's start with listening to Ruth and seeing what Child's choices are. Okay, so here we go. I think that performance is just stunning. It's the Stetson University Women's Chorale from 2012. And so in mentioning, thinking about how the music reflects the difference between Ruth and Miriam, right? Miriam is getting the kahal, everybody up. Ruth is making a very personal, impassioned plea. And the setting, I think, is very personal, okay? And so if we look for a minute at the choices that Childs has made, so a few of the things, entreat me not to leave or to those E-E-E-E-Es that don't happen anywhere else except in this repeating refrain, which I think is one of the reasons why he has that refrain come back later, right? Because we have then the R's, or to return, our RT, the RTs that we hear and hear. And it's those R's that connect us to where, your, right? Those where, there, where, Lord, more, okay? Those R's sounds that return. And then the odd, large, God, that that vowel sound that comes back. And another thing, and here's another one of these double L's. Lots of double L's, right? Following and will and shall and will and and then the few rhymes, you and die, and where you lie does not exist in any source. This is an original edition, which I'm sure he added for the rhyme. And why 3 times? Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. Where you lie, where you lie, where you lie, right? So it balances out for that section. So this part is, and I thought this part was interesting just to see why he made those choices. So backing up, and you'll forgive me and just tell me if I scroll too fast because I have to kind of go between the pages. So here is the Hebrew. Does anybody need this in bigger font? Because I've got it. It's okay? Okay. So I'm going to read the Hebrew. And even if you don't understand the Hebrew, listen to the melody of it, the poetry of it. So Vatomer Ruth, and Ruth said, that's not in the song. Al tifkei vi la'azvech lashuv ma'achoraich, ki el asher telchi elech, u'va'asher talini alin, amech ami, ve'elohaich Elohi. Ba'asher tamuti amut ve'sham ekaver, ko yaseh li Adonai li v'cho yosif, ki hamavet yafrid beni u'beinech. Okay, and just a word about this. Whoops, can't see it here. This ko yaseh li Adonai v'cho yosif. So the note is this. I didn't. Oh yeah. Thus and more may the Lord do to me is a formula of imprecation or a curse or a vow. So may God strike me dead if I don't fulfill, if anything other than our dying. So which always confused me. I didn't know what that meant. Okay, we have somebody else coming in. So going back to this. Okay, so I started with this first phrase, which is highlighted in the turquoise. And I wish they had highlighting colors that were light, but they have so many highlighting colors that are dark, and then you can't see the print. So entreat me not to leave you or to return from following you. So Sepharia says, do not urge me to leave you, to turn back and not follow you. Boy, is that clumsy, totally not poetic. They have no intention of making this balance with the original. They just want to tell you what it means. All right, just reminding, entreat me not to leave you or to return from following you. Here's my first non-Jewish source, the New Catholic Bible. Please do not insist on my leaving you or forsaking you. Also not very poetic. And I don't know, I find these multisyllabic words, Hebrew is not a multisyllabic language on the whole. You know, it has the extra syllables are endings to tell you tense, to tell you gender, to tell you quantity. But forsaking seems a clumsy word to me. The New International Version, but urge me to leave you or to turn, don't urge me to leave you or turn back from you. How many of you want to sing urge instead of entreat me? Not so much. New King James, oh, we're getting closer. Entreat me not to leave you or to turn back from following after you. How much nicer is entreat me not to leave you or return rather than turn back? Okay, here we go. Jewish sources, Orthodox. Much more poetic, right? Entreat me not to leave thee or to return from following after thee. So very close. If we got rid of the archaic, we would be pretty much on the same page as the King James, which I thought that was really interesting. JPS, but do not urge me to leave you, to turn back and not follow you. I thought, to turn back and not what? A little confusing. And then the Alter translation, which aspires to be a literary translation and follow the poetic weight of the text. Do not entreat me to forsake you, to turn back from you. Okay, so entreat me not is a little less clear, but more melodious. Anne, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I remember reading that Alter said that his model for the perfect prose is King James, and he's really updating it.
Yeah, I read the whole introduction to the translation. I don't remember reading that. It was a very
it wasn't in this, but in his Psalms, book of Psalms.
Okay, I didn't get, because it's a lot to try to read the whole thing. Okay, so skimming back, don't get dizzy. Where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Okay, so Sepharia. For wherever you, and now what I did is I highlighted the words that are in the child's. So for wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. So where you go, wherever you go. So I guess wherever is more all-encompassing, setting less limits than where you go. But think of singing wherever you go. Wherever you go, whatever you do, right? All right, so here we go. The Catholic, wherever, same wherever as Sepharia, wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you live, I will live. Now, just going back up here, Ki el asher tilchi elech, wherever you go, I will, uva asher talini alin. The root lun, la lun, is to spend the night while traveling or wandering. So lodge gives you that association of traveling or wandering or being en route. Wherever you live, I will live. That's not the same thing as lodging, as being in temporary, right? It's where your destination is. All right. Where you go, I will go. And where you stay, I will stay. How prosaic, right? I mean, I think lodge, where you stay.
Well, like I know my South African relatives, when they refer to where do you live, they'll say, where did she stay? They use stay as the same as live. I don't know if it's like that in England, but it was South Africans do it that way. Yeah,
but poetically, it wouldn't necessarily be the word that I would choose, poetic. I mean, part of what I want to show is what brilliant choices child made in choosing these particular words, because we remember we talked a little bit in rehearsal about entreat me not. Why entreat me not? It's a little, this flip negative. Okay, and here's the King James. Again, wherever, for wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you lodge, I will lodge. I still like where better than wherever. Orthodox, not even close. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. And of course, all of us growing up, most of us, I guess, are old enough where whither is how we heard it, right? Whither thou go, or whither thou goest. JPS, for wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. I guess that should have been highlighted. And the altar, for wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you lodge, I will lodge. So
Lalin, the Hebrew, Shalin would be lodge would be much closer than
right,
stay.
right. So these are pretty close. All right. Your people shall be my people, and your God shall be my God. And we were so used to these translations. We go, well, how many different ways can you say this? Now you know. And there were many. I just picked 3 sources from each. So word for word, Sepharia, your people shall be my people, and your God my God. But we're missing your people shall be my people, and your God shall be my God, which I think poetically, if we listen, Amech ami ve'elohaich Elohai. Papam, papam, papa, 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 papa. So your people shall be my people, and your God, my God, sounds uneven to my ear. Okay, here we go. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God.
So it's will rather than shall.
Will rather than shall. And yeah, there's a lot of the New International, your people will be my people, and your God, my God. So the same out of balance as Sepharia. And King James, your people, the italics are mine. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Okay. And the Orthodox, thy people shall be my people. So we have again the shall, and thy God shall be Elohai. Strictly speaking, would you call Elohai a translation? I will not get into the discussion. But I thought it was interesting that the shall was in the King James and in the Jewish Orthodox. JPS, your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. So they balance it, right? They do the 2 wills. So JPS does balance. And your people is my people, and your God is my God. And this should be red. I don't know how it got blue. There we go. Which is why? I don't know. Your people, well, because strictly she's saying, Amech ami, your people is my people, your God is my God. But shall be is so much more poetic. Okay, so the famous Ba'asher tamuti amut v'sham ekaver. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. Remember that child goes, and there will I be buried. Okay, and I think these little things, these little changes that he makes to make it more musical are what makes this song so spectacular. So here you go. Where you die, I will die. Wherever you die, I will die and be buried there. Well, that's very, yeah. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. Closer, like the Sepharia. It's interesting where they overlap. Okay, this should be not highlighted. This. There we go. And now, whoop. Let's make it. I do look at these things, but then I don't see it. After a while, I just don't see it anymore. There you go. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. Word for word in the King James. And you can see how much of the King James is colored. Where thou diest, I will die, and there will I be buried. So I think that they really, when we were stuck with the old these and thous and diest and goest, it really hurt the poetic spirit of the text. And JPS, so here we go. Where you die, I will die, and there will I will be buried, right? And the altar, wherever you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. Did I forget to finish this? I didn't think I did. So wherever you, it's interesting that he chooses wherever, he uses wherever in all of these places. As being, as we said, wherever is it's like anywhere in the whole wide world. I'm not limiting you. And as I mentioned, this where you lie doesn't exist. Okay, going back to the original. Basher tamut yamut v'sham kaver, ko yaseh Adonai li v'cho yosif. This is the vow. So there's no in here, in this spot here, there's no where you lie. I can send you if the altar is not, I can send you my document so you can look at it afterwards, anybody who wants it. And so this vow, thus and more may the Lord do to me, which I think is much clearer than may the Lord do so to me and more always, which is what child uses. And it's like, what do you mean? So, and there is no note in the song at the beginning, notes at the beginning to say that this is what this is. Okay, so this is in the orange. May the Lord do so to me. Yes, it is the altar. So may the Lord do this to me and even worse. Okay, well, that's pretty clear. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely. Also clear. Not poetic language, but clear. King James, the Lord do so to me and more also. So he's missing the may, right? He's missing the may. And in the Orthodox, Hashem do so to me and more also. And the JPS, thus and more may the Lord do to me. Also clearer, I think, than the child's. And altar, so may the Lord do to me, or even more. So I think that none of the other translations are particularly poetic, but they are clearer than child's. The Lord do so. Here we go. May the Lord do so to me and more also, which is what child's uses. And like I said, till I looked it up, it wasn't clear to me what was intended in this line. Anne?
Yes, can you read the translation again of altar? Because I think he didn't say if anything, he said for. Which
So may the Lord do to me, or even more. That was as far as we went.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. And then the final line, if anything but death parts me from you. That's my notes. So, ki hamavet yafrid beni uvenech, which ki is not quite if, but that's how it's translated. If anything but death parts me from you, word for word. If anything other than death separates me from you, if even death separates you and me. Oh, and that's important thing, sorry, going back to the Hebrew. Ki hamavet yafrid beini uveinech. Beini, me, uveinech, between me and you. English doesn't like me and you, right? English likes you and me. You say the other person first. Okay. So if anything but death parts me from you, Sepharia stays me first, you. Because you're not going to leave me, right? The one who's making the choice is Ruth. If anything other than death separates me from you, Catholic Bible stays with that. New International Version, if even death separates you and me. This is really interesting because they're saying that we're not, even after death, we're not being separated. So changes the meaning significantly at this point, right? This is very not Jewish. If anything but death parts you and me. King James knew the correct English grammar. Jewish sources, if anything but hamavet, part thee and me, you and me. Very strange choice to me. JPS nails it on the head. If anything but death parts me from you. And Alter, for only death will part you and me. I was very surprised that Alter chose to alter the grammar, to fix the grammar from the Hebrew to the English.
But
And
he also changes it a little bit by saying, for only death will part you and me, instead of having it be a complete sentence. This stands out on its own
right,
by saying for.
well, he's connecting it to the vow, which everybody does, but it's only death versus if anything but death is if you say if anything but death, to me it's no matter what the temptation, no matter what other possibilities are dangled by fate in my way, I'm still not going to leave. The only thing that
Sorry.
no, go ahead.
He's changing a conditional into whatever the right word is. It's no longer.
Imperative.
Yes, imperative, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back now that we've looked through this, which I found fascinating, and I could have, pulled up at least 4 more, but I thought this gave us a sense. So here's the Hebrew again. Al tifki'i vi לעזבך לשוב מאחורייך, כי אל אשר תלכי אלך, ובאשר תליני אלין, עמך עמי, ואלוהיך אלוהי. באשר תמותי אמות, ושם אקבר, כה יעשה אדוני לי וכה יוסיף, כי המוות יפריד ביני ובינך. Entreat me not to leave you, or to return from following you. Where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God shall be my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. Where you lie, where you lie, where you lie, may the Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts me from you. So it's very poetic. And some thoughts before I give mine. Why does he add this extra entreat me here?
Wouldn't it just adds a little more balance to the?
Well, I mean, part of it is balance. Part of it is balance. What is the difference between the promises that she makes here and the promise that she makes here?
Well, the first one, she's looking at life. She's looking, I'm going to go home, I'm going to live with you and your people. I'm going to take your God. And the second one, she's looking towards the end and she's saying, I will be with you till the very end. I will.
Will Naomi know that Ruth is buried where she's buried?
No, obviously not. She
Right?
does, unless Ruth dies first.
Unless Ruth dies first, and Naomi, as far as we know, Naomi is not promising to be buried where Ruth is buried.
Right.
Right. So this is to me a very different kind. I mean, he creates a break, and we'll listen again to the song, of course, as we always end these sessions. But we're going to live our lives together. And in Alter's commentary, he says this is basically her conversion. She takes on the obligation to be a Jew. Remember, this is pre-rabbinic Judaism. There's no requirement for the mikvah. There's no requirement for
ritual. There's no ritual.
There's no ritual for conversion.
She's also committing to be a family member. Not just, I'm going to follow you like a puppy. I'm going to be a family member. I'm going to do whatever you do in your life and forever.
Yeah,
Forever.
your people are going to be my people. I'm joining the tribe.
Well, think about burials. Families were buried together. Okay, think about Me'arat HaMachpelah, right? These long traditions. You bury family together. And I think that when we listen to it again, okay, child's change, right? The music, those of you who know the music well, the music changes after this third entreat me, right? We've talked about the fast and the slow and these poignant harmonies that tell us this is important. This is important. Okay, so we're actually past the time. So I am going to stop sharing this and actually, no, sorry, I'm going to go back there. I'm just going to do the sound because the video of Ruth has nothing going on. It's just a blank screen. So let's go back.
Usually bras fit small chest.
All right, I'm going to mute the commercials. I'm sure you don't want to hear about the bra commercial that is that is now playing. Yes, Claudia.
I just said I wanted to hear the bra.
Oh, you want to hear the bra commercial? I'm sorry. Maybe I can get it to play again. I have the volume all the way up on this recording. It's in a big hall. I don't know. They have a camera. I mean, this is 2012, so the camera is way back. So if you want it louder on your device, you have to turn it up at your end. I don't have any control. So here it is once again, the Stetson University Women's Chorale in 2012 singing Song of Ruth, and the comments. One of the singers writes, "Still my favorite piece I ever did in choir." And I think we agree that it's really beautiful. So here we go. The conductor there is Andrew Larson, and they don't have the name of the pianist listed who did an absolutely, he was stunning.
It's beautiful.
Stunning. Just,
I-
Claudia, you wanted to say something?
For me, listening to that, I focused on the sopranos because I usually don't when I'm trying so hard to hit the alto notes, and it was beautiful to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barb,
I
you-
was
to add-
trying to catch the soprano 2 part. And the one was
It's
really dominant.
tricky. It's tricky. So
I
that
also-
end, yeah.
Oh, I also,
Whoa, shush. I didn't close the window. There we go. Woo. Sorry.
hi, it also, for the first time, made sense to me why there's such a long piece after we're done singing. It sounded almost like in a movie, like they're walking off together and they have
Mhm.
nothing more to say. So,
Yeah. And we've talked about it, but we have to be able to get to the point where we, first of all, I think Neely is not at the point where she knows exactly what she wants to say. And that's why I said it's really not right that they didn't list the pianist, because the pianist was stunning. And really the setup at the beginning and the close at the end, when the pianist does their job and the choir takes it from the pianist and hands it back, it's a beautiful, the whole piece, I think, is a beautiful journey. So this finishes. Anybody else wanted to add anything else? I didn't want to. Barb?
Yeah, I have a question about Miriam Sang's Miriam Sang. How did you like the dancing, the choreography?
I loved it. We're planning on doing that. I think I was really happy actually to see the walking in the second part, and I think we are going to incorporate some sort of physical movement, not choreography per se, but some sort of way of moving to help us keep in time and in tune.
Yeah, I think the idea of the movement is good. I found it a little bit distracting. I was trying to focus on the singing and
Because but from the audience, I don't think it would have been. Anne?
So I wasn't crazy about the tea part.
Oh yeah, the Egyptian thing.
Yeah.
Egyptian.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
do it.
But the rest,
Yeah.
that didn't work for me, but the rest I thought was really good. I loved the speeding up in the second part, and it got so exciting, and
Yeah.
you were really in the trance by then, so it
Yeah.
really made it feel like that.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that when we get our drummer with us, if he and Neely and I coordinate that we're speeding up, you all will have to come along. You won't be able to do your usual slowing down thing. So before I sign off, so this ends our first season of Text and Context. I certainly intend to continue with this next year. I think that for those of us who attend live and contribute to the conversation, I think it's very rewarding and enriching, and it certainly has a life in YouTube afterwards. The Colorado Hebrew Chorale presents our programming, our virtual programming, for free, unlike other organizations, which we could mention but won't. So if you would like to support our programming by making a donation at our website, coloradohebrewchorale.org, that would be wonderful. Tomorrow evening, the Colorado Hebrew Chorale is going to participate at the Yom HaShoah Memorial Day service or tribute at HEA. Those of you who are in Denver, sorry, those of you who are out of town, it's not going to be live screened. But our friend and great supporter, Asi Sladek, will be telling his story, and the Colorado Hebrew Chorale will open with Lewandowski's Enosh. So that's it for me. Sorry for those of you who came late, but we did start at 7 Mountain Time. Sorry for the confusion about the emails. When I originally set up this series, I didn't include this date. And then when I went in, it was like, this date is not on there, and I had to fix it. And it was a little bit of a mess, but we all learn from Zoom. So thank you everybody for attending. I hope everybody had a wonderful Pesach. Have a wonderful week. And I'll see some of you tomorrow and more of you on Thursday, and the rest of you next time we're online. Carol, safe travels. Jessica, be well. Bonnie, be well. Everybody else, Laila Tov.